Howdy, stranger. Outlaws, bandits. Today I'm bringing you two tales about the warrior and the debate. Hope to hear your opinions in the comments. As always, see you on the other side.
The day I outran an ambulance. This happened to me a few years ago now, and while it did unfortunately leave me with some permanent damage, it does make for a great story to tell at parties. I, 18F at the time, lived with my parents in a very remote area in the American Midwest. I'm talking 20-minute drive from the closest town, which has about 1,000 residents, remote. I had just gotten done with my senior year of high school, and was headed into town to go work at my seasonal lifeguard job I'd had for years. I had woken up a bit late and was running behind, so I unwisely decided to push my car far past the speed limit. I was descending a hill road with many switchbacks, repetitive, sharp turns, when I lost control of my car and swerved into a guardrail. When I woke up, I was partially ejected from the vehicle, and couldn't see much due to my glasses falling off. I managed to free myself from the car, and saw a red truck on the other side of the road. A man called out to me and asked if I'd called for help. Still in a daze, I shook my head no. He told me he was headed up to the top of the hill to call emergency services, then drive off. Immediately, I was filled with embarrassment. In my concussed stupor, I failed to realize I was at all injured or in need of help. I just wanted to get to work and forget this ever happened. So when a blue SUV came down the hill in the direction I had been headed, I flagged them down and asked for a ride into town. They eagerly agreed, and after I profusely apologized for my boldness, I asked if they were headed to town and if they could take me to work there. The couple muttered to themselves a bit, but obliged me. After 10 or so minutes of trying my best not to nod off in the backseat, I was shaken awake by a hand in my shoulder. We had arrived, the man said, but I wasn't at work. I was at the local clinic, not a full doctor's office but a place that provided a few services. Physical therapy, vaccines, things like that. I was confused, but in my concussed state I let them direct me towards the door. Immediately upon seeing me walk in, nurses rushed me to a back room and instructed me to lay down. I asked if I could borrow a phone to call into work, and the staff insisted they'd call for me. A few minutes later, a nurse walked in and asked if I had crashed a car matching my vehicle's description about 10 minutes out of town.
Story 2. Ignorance.
I nodded yes. I nodded yes, and she thanked me and started talking rapidly into the phone she was holding. Turns out, Red Truck Man had called 911 and waited at the top of the hill to direct police to the scene. But by the time they arrived there was just a mangled old sedan with a blood-tinged interior and no driver to be found. There was also a faint blood trail leading to the road that then abruptly stopped without a trace. It must have all been very confusing for these people, and while I do find it funny now, I'm sure I caused everyone there a lot of concern. Luckily, an ambulance came to the clinic and took me to a hospital in the closest city, and I made a full recovery, save for some minor lingering effects of head trauma and a few scars. I was incredibly lucky, and I am now a much more careful driver than I was then. I'm also going to school to be an EMT now, in a funny twist of fate. Red Truck Guy, if you're out there, I'm sorry for scaring you, and thank you so much for your help.
So, stranger, firstly, I would like to say that you were extremely lucky from start to finish with all the occurrences that happened. To be speeding, hitting a rail, and basically coming out of it with a few minor injuries. Amazing. I'm happy for you, and seems like even the big big guy was on your side that day. To find a guy that is honest enough to actually call up the emergency services in your favor, to not necessarily have injuries that prevent you from carrying yourself without any visible major indication that you have something wrong with you, is absolutely awesome. Then to be picked up by that couple who didn't necessarily know you, and they didn't know that you were injured. Well, I'm guessing you had like blood stains and stuff, since at the end of the story, I think you mentioned that there were some blood stains on the car, inside the car, something. So that they didn't really mistook you for, let's say, a substance abuser. We actually need more people like this on the planet, and then society would be a much better place. I absolutely adore your will to work. I'm like, this woman is a freaking Spartan. Like, everything that happened to her, and she just wants to go to work. Hats off. Like, absolutely hats off. Well done. However, I'm hoping you learned your mistake from all this ordeal, and at least next time while you are driving, you should be a little bit more careful. And you know, let's not repeat this. It's really noble that you want to be an EMT. I wish you the best of luck with it. You already have the initiative to be one, and I can see and sense that you are a good person. So I definitely think you will succeed. Just keep it up, and next time, just don't speed or set off a little bit earlier.
Ignorance. There is this girl I debated 1 year ago or so, and I was shocked to discover the truth behind it. I was scrolling to TikTok, typically a normal user. I was often debating people, and throughout in my experience I can see their distress that they will resort into mentally extorting you and trying to break your patience like a twig of branch. Then she said that unicorn did exist in the Ice Age, and she also claimed that the unicorn was mentioned in the King James Version. But based on my research, it was an ox, not a unicorn. What she may be trying to refer is the woolly rhinoceros resembles a unicorn. The woolly rhinoceros is an extinct species of rhinoceros that was common throughout Europe and Asia during the Pleistocene epoch and survived until the end of the last glacial period. The woolly rhinoceros was a member of the Pleistocene megafauna. Then I make a video about her saying that what she said is a lie, and I showed pictures and statements from known scholars. Then after a few minutes I got several notifications. I was deeply hurt by her reply. Then I began offensive, but I just decided to left it off. But there's something bothering me about it. I can't stop thinking about her. And I check her profile, and to my surprise, it's a freaking 5 to 7 years old Anya cosplay. She even tell me that I should rope myself. I can't believe how her parents raised such a demon, ha 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 ha.
Well, stranger, this escalated quite quickly from you guys having a debate to then her wanting you to do some stuff to you. Is a wow. So let me get this straight. Let's start from the beginning. You guys were debating whether or not unicorns existed. If that's the case, then even to my knowledge, I don't think they did. Like, okay, I didn't really know about the woolly rhinoceros. Thank you very much for enlightening me. Um, if that's the case, then wait, you already gave her videos or video evidences about scientists or scholars that already dug through these things or these research. Like, if that's not enough for her, why do you keep persisting? After some time with these people, you just need to leave them. Like, you go your way, I'll go my way. And let me share you a story. I think 1 or 2 years back, I was randomly scrolling through Reddit, and I stumbled across um, a young lady posted something about the singer, and I just commented on her profile or on her post that, in my humble opinion, I think that the singer is a bit overrated. Can't remember what band it was from, but this young lady was a complete fan. Like, I mean, a diehard, just him and nobody else. And it got to a point where I got personally messaged by the young lady and started to properly annoy me, wanted me to off myself, and my family, and yada yada yada. At some point, I tried to be the bigger man, and I told her, like, listen, just because I have an opinion, that doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just my opinion. You have yours, that doesn't mean you're right. But this, I think, is one of the issues that society nowadays faces. That everybody thinks that their opinion is sacred, and that's the only way. We are dysfunctional like this. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Everybody should have their own opinion. So, just to say that mine is valid, and because you think like this or you think otherwise, that you should do some bad stuff to yourself or somebody else, it's not a good look. Like, sometimes with these people, you just need to turn around and walk away. And obviously, if you're on any sort of social media, don't let these things fly. Report them. Like, obviously, if somebody comes up to me and says, just because I have a different opinion on a subject, that I should do some bad stuff with other people or to myself, no. No, let's not even get into that debate. Just far away from me, my brother or sister. Far away from me. Although, at the end, when you mentioned this is a 5 to 7 year old cosplay, I'm not too sure what you meant by that. So if you ever see this, please reach out and explain the last part. Maybe I just missed something. But I'm really curious about what cosplay are you currently speaking of. And yes, for the final word, you were completely right, because the parents enabled this entitlement. So mostly from a child's perspective, the most issues or the most outcome for certain types of behavior can be traced back to the parents. Regardless of that being like abuse, where the child is just completely inside their own head, not necessarily making friends or relationships or whatever, or accepting and enabling every sort of behavior, regardless of that being good or bad. It's a normal parent's job to actually pay attention to their kids. If they don't do it, that's no good. So parents out there, pay more attention to your kids, because we don't need any more entitled brats like this.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode, stranger. If you did, consider joining our band of outlaws and bandits. About time I ride off. It seems like they're gaining some ground on me. Until the next time, stranger, try to keep yourself out of trouble.